Namaskar. You all are welcome in today's program on Culture Matters with Kailash. This program is slightly different from what we have been showing and live telecasting. We are going to talk about the health program and about the culture of health today by three experts, by Dr. Paula Horan, Dr. Leroy Rebello, and Dr. Sudha Chapyala. Today's topic is little big, but the concern is one point concern. The topic of today's lecture is the only way to stop the sixth extinction event, heal the microbiome of the planet and the humanity. So you have to heal the planet, you have to heal the humanity, you have to say that we have to keep the world safe, you have to keep yourself away from all the things that is coming out by some vested agencies in the name of medicine or in the name of vaccine or in the name of saving the humanity. We have to see that the chaos is no more is being tolerated. So these are the things that we are going to discuss, and I'm not going to discuss. Our three very well known, well read, well articulated and well researched scholars of the world, they are going to talk about this. So I should start with Dr. Paula Horan. She will be giving you little uh, background about the theme, about the two more scholars, about herself also, and then we'll begin our program. Please, Professor Paula Horan, please come. You are welcome here to speak about your program.
Well, thank you, Kailash. In actual fact, though, I'm not acting as a professor. I do have a PhD in psychology, but actually most of my work is spiritual work. I have had the great fortune to be a direct student of HWL Poonjaji, who was one of the three main disciples of Ramana Maharshi. And after my own guru's passing, I was not, I wasn't interested in finding another guru, but through auspicious coincidence, I happened to meet a great master in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition of non-dual awareness. So my real forte, okay, is helping people cut through the mind and identification with the mind. I'm very fortunate in that as a child, it didn't seem so fortunate at the time, quite frankly, but I had a Mensa genius father who took a test to go into Harvard when he was 15, and I've never heard the end of it from all my relatives. My father got everything right except for one question, and then when they looked at it more deeply, they found out that my father was right and the test was wrong. So as a result of that, my father brought me up. He wanted to become a lawyer, which he didn't. So he brought me up debating politics, which didn't interest me. So I would debate him back in religion, which is my real, or spirituality is really my true interest. However, as a young person, because I was a military brat, we moved every 3 years, I had to get a lot of vaccinations. And at age 6, I was overloaded with vaccinations, which unfortunately caused great damage. I'm vaccine damaged, basically. And so this happened to me at about age 6. And when I was 13 years old, I developed grand mal epilepsy. And I had that for 15 years until I was 27 years old. And it was only when I became a dancer and I was touring in Japan and I was just for fun, training some Japanese doctors in English. They told me that my epilepsy was actually caused by the vaccinations that I'd had. And because I was asking them to give me vaccinations because I was going to make a trip to Nepal. This is like back in 1978. And, because my American doctors had said, oh, before you go to the third world countries, you must get more vaccinations. And I was so brainwashed. I forced my friends who told me, they said, Paula, please do not ever get vaccinated again. This is why you have epilepsy. This is why you have epilepsy. And I wouldn't listen. And I made them give me a cholera shot. And that night I had a terrible seizure, one of the worst I've ever had. And after that, I started to listen. So later on, I had a series of breast tumors, well, 2 breast tumors, later an ovarian one, which I actually healed on my own without any chemo or radiation. I started to study on my own. After my experience with vaccine damage, I didn't trust doctors at all, quite frankly. And so I would study and learn how to heal myself, which I did. I had great success. All 3 tumors healed by myself. And as a result of this, because when I was a kid, it's interesting. I wanted, like Leroy, you're going to find out about him. He's an amazing guy. Leroy and Sudha too. I don't want to leave her out either. They're 2 of the probably top doctors in this country that I'm going to be introducing you to. And one of the things that both my Indian guru, it's interesting, and my Tibetan Lama have told me is that I have been a doctor, a medical doctor in many, many lifetimes. And that's probably why I'm not dead. Because if I listened to most doctors, number one, I wouldn't have breasts, because one guy wanted me to chop both my breasts off because I'd had tumors and, and I said, absolutely not. When I was young with the epilepsy, they tried to give me these drugs that totally made me a space cadet. So I didn't even tell my parents I wouldn't take them. I just would, pretend to take them, and then I would throw them away. And I actually learned to tune in with people's fine. Whenever I felt a seizure coming on, I'd just tell somebody to talk to me, and then I would tune into their calm brainwaves and stop my seizures. Okay, so basically, for the most part of my life, I've healed myself. I've studied and learned what to do for myself. And along the way, I would meet some doctors that really blew my mind, who were way ahead of the pack, like the 2 you're going to meet tonight, and who really understood things in a way that the average person doesn't. And I feel it's so important. The topic, it's interesting that Kailash picked out, is the name I want to put on a book that I want to compile with both Sudha, Leroy, and other scientists like them, who are doctor scientists, who are not being heard at this time at all by the mainstream media. And I want to just read something interesting. One of the guys that has really inspired me a lot is a guy named Zach Bush from the States. And he's doing the same thing almost as a coincidence that Leroy and Sudha are doing. He is a triple board certified physician who's an expert in the microbiome. You see, the advanced doctors today are no longer, they're seeing through the deleterious effect of medications, all right? And so the doctors like Leroy and Sudha are getting into what's called functional medicine, where what they do is these very sophisticated blood tests that they have available today, which determine what toxins you have and, for example, what vitamins you're missing and so on, to put you back in proper balance in a natural way, not with all these chemical medicines. And Zach Bush is one of those guys, and he's also, like Leroy and Sudha, an expert in the microbiome of the human and also of the soil. Because you see, like what's happened, for example, in America, is you have a situation where 90% of the farms are have been taken over with glyphosate, with what do you call it? Yeah, GMO foods. And some doctors are actually saying that 50% of Americans now have autoimmune disease, not caused by HIV, but caused by the glyphosate, caused by the chemtrails in the sky that they're putting on us, care of Bill Gates, one of his special projects. And then, and on it goes. There's just so many toxins in our environment today. It's crazy. And now, plus we have the added factor of frequencies that cause toxicity in the microbiome and in the interstitium. In other words, the largest organ in our body, which is the space between the cells. And you could say the interstitium is almost like the toilet of our body, because whatever our cells slough off goes into the fluid, the interstitial fluid in the interstitium. So the real way to heal one is to detoxify and clear all that up. And this is what Sudha and Leroy will be talking about today. Well, there's other problems too. Another fake thing they're telling us is that we're experiencing global warming. Well, sorry, folks, it's quite the contrary. We're actually going into what's called a solar minimum, and probably for the next 15, 20 years, it's going to get colder and colder, not warmer. All right. And some of you scholars out there, look it up, and you're probably already familiar with this fact. And it's interesting, just as a little side note to this, is the fact that, you know, if you look at Chinese history, whenever they had a change in dynasty, there was a solar minimum happening, just like started 2-3 years ago. For example, the summer in Beijing, it snowed, as well as in North America, in Idaho, and also in Canada. And I've been living up in the Himalayas, and we had tremendous snow the last 2 winters. Okay, so it's not getting warmer, folks. It's getting cooler. And there's other things in terms of carbon that I think Sudha and Leroy can also elucidate more. Carbon is not a problem. We actually need more carbon, but we need the soil to be balanced out so that soil can breathe in its fair share of the carbon. See, normally our planet, the way it's set up when it's in balance, is that both the oceans on our planet and the soil act as lungs, 2 big lungs to, you know, with the carbon dioxide. And now, because chemical agriculture has destroyed so much of the soil, probably India is one of the suffering the least as compared to like North, South America, Europe, Africa, and so on. Our soil on this planet has been turned into lifeless dirt. And one of the things that this Dr. Zach Bush I mentioned earlier is doing is he's taking that soil, and, you know, he's helped farmers, and with his NGO called Farmers Footprint, turn just dead dirt, toxic with glyphosate, back into rich soil in only a year. So there are miracles that can be worked, thank goodness. That's the good news. But if we let the World Economic Forum and what they want to do take over, it's going to be a disaster, because what they want to do is just feed humanity totally on GMO food, which is what's killing us. Okay, so we really need to pay attention. It's become a real passion, just like it was a real passion for me to write this book, Heal Yourself with Ozone, 20 years ago. I originally called it Heal Yourself with Oxygen. But 5 years ago, I changed the title to what it really should have been called from the beginning, Heal Yourself with Ozone, because so many people were being harmed who were exposing the truth about ozone and how it heals virtually everything. It's a true panacea. Like, for example, the Queen of England, the Queen Mother used ozone every day. All right. The Illuminati know about it. When President Reagan got cancer, back in the 80s, he went to Germany for 10 days, got rectal ozone, his rectal cancer gone. And that's how I keep myself from getting cancer again. Because once you've had any, what do you call, Leroy, help me, a repetitive disease, a really dangerous disease or whatever, you can always get it back if you go back to bad habits. So I started using ozone about 15 years ago or so, and I've been using it almost every day when I'm at home. I can't do that on the road. But anyway, I don't want to talk too much longer because we don't have such a long time, and I really want to turn this over to my dear friends, and also they are my personal doctors, by the way, the 2 of them. They've helped me so much. I suffered tremendously from hypoxia from living at such high altitude, doing all my retreats. And they have been just super experts in getting me back into proper health. And so many ways they've helped me. I can't talk enough about them. So what I want to say about Leroy is Leroy has studied medicine here in India, and he is just like Sudha. They're both scientists as well as doctors, and he went and studied in Harvard University, or actually did research at Harvard, and developed and worked he worked a lot on studying stem cell treatments, which he's become a great expert in. In fact, he used to have a clinic in Thailand where he did a lot of people from all over Asia and also has won awards by the King of Malaysia for his work in longevity. And Dr. Chepyala, she's also studied, Sudha, I don't know if you studied only in America or also here in India too.
It's in India and in America.
That's what I thought. And then she also has her own clinic in Texas. So she works both in India and in the States. Yeah, so these, anyway, I can't give them enough lauds. So I want to just turn it over. So Sudha, are you going to go first or we have Leroy?
No, it's Leroy.
Okay. All right. So Leroy, I want to introduce you to this wonderful audience we have here. And perhaps you can elucidate a lot of the things about, one of the things that I found so interesting from Zach Bush, he says, vaccines do not create immunity because antibodies are not the key to immunity. And, like one question is, does antibodies protect a certain individual? And he says, no, because you can produce certain RNA, DNA in the cytoplasm without any interaction with antibodies at all. And if we receive that update in our body, we can hold on to that. We can express that later as it's needed. And so in other words, we are in a genomic sequencing environment of regulation and balance. And all this nonsense about vaccinations is not even needed. Would you agree with that statement? Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, can you hear me, Leroy?
Yes. Thank you for inviting me and to speak in this forum, all of you. I wouldn't want to comment directly or indirectly about vaccination. Vaccinations have their pros and their cons. I am not a person to totally disregard vaccination, nor a person to 100% regard vaccination. I would definitely say overuse or misuse of any medicine, maybe it may be a vaccine or may not be a vaccine, is not good for the body. And coming back to this session about microbiome and the plant microbiome, the human microbiome, there is a lot of things that are linked. Now, humans are also linked to the earth because we are, unfortunately or fortunately, the only species living on this only rock, which is called Earth, and it is floating through space. And the first organisms that we believe to have appeared on this rock that we call Earth, that is floating through space, are microorganisms. Now, these microorganisms are what we are actually made of. We have billions of them on our skin, right in our GI tract, that is gastrointestinal tract, on our hair, in our eyes, all over the body. We are designed to eat them as food. The pickles that we eat, the bread that we eat, the paratha that we eat, all are a result of microorganisms. Nothing but fermentation. Now, fermentation is a process in which microorganisms devour or eat their food and convert one product into another product. You can call it, whether it is alcohol. Alcohol is nothing but a product of fermentation. Now, when these microorganisms die, they get compressed under the seabed or under the rock over millions and millions of years. And they form hydrocarbons. And we mine these hydrocarbons. And what are these hydrocarbons I'm talking about? It's nothing but crude oil, petrol, diesel. So everything comes out as a hydrocarbon soup, or we call it crude oil. And we fractionate it and separate it. But from where this was formed? This was formed billions of years ago under the seas as plankton. Now, when plankton are small microorganisms that float in the sea, these die, they go to the bottom, and over billions and billions of years, they compress. And that is what we have oil today. And fortunately, unfortunately, the world's economy and the world is driven by oil. But today we are definitely going into alternative energy and alternative forms of energy. And we all believe in this thing or this theory, which is called the germ theory. And we all know that what Louis Pasteur said, that the germ theory is one of the things that he regrets talking about.
Yes.
Because we all want to be clean. And we have these, this particular thing of being clean. Now, what is being clean? Even the air we breathe is not clean, because we are surrounded by microorganisms. When I say bacteria, fungus, all these things. Even the parts of our cells, millions of years ago, for example, a mitochondria was a living organism. Now, this mitochondria gradually went into the cell and got integrated into the cells and became part of a microorganism. And today, every cell of ours has mitochondria. Now, when I talk about this, actually, you will hear more about the mitochondria, about the microbiome and how it affects human health and how we can use it in human health from Dr. Sudha, who's an expert in that. But I'll talk a little about how it affects the soil and all. So now if you see soil, what is soil? Soil is nothing but a mixture of minerals, biomass, water, certain gases, and a lot of microbiology, a lot of microorganisms. That is called soil. Because where are we from? What are we made out of? We are made out of cells. You break it down. The cells are made out of cell organelles. You break it down. We are made out of molecules. We are made out of atoms. We are made out of carbon. Now, from where does this come? Now, you take, from where does the earth come? This earth was formed by gases that were floating in space, and they coalesced together. Now, this earth is powered by solar. It is a solar powered rock. Everything works on solar energy. Because if you see which is the most efficient solar cell in the world, it's not a cell made by a certain company that you can buy off the internet. But most of you have these solar cells in your house. This is nothing but a leaf. A simple, humble leaf is the most efficient solar cell in the body, in the universe. Because this catches photons or solar energy, and it converts this solar energy into ATP, with the help, of course, of certain other biochemicals that are there. Now, for this leaf to function, it has to grow somewhere, or it has to be installed somewhere. it will be installed on the stem of a plant. And this plant has its roots, which is anchored somewhere. This is anchored into the soil. Now, if you see, what are we made of? We are nothing but what we eat. They say you are nothing but what you eat. So if I take this leaf has carbon, atoms, this thing, that thing, so many different types of, atoms and molecules, and I eat it. This will be part of me. And from where these atoms came? These atoms came from different parts of the universe. They came from stardust, which was floating in the universe. And now the stardust is part of me. That's why they say the universe is inside you. And you are the universe. You are the key to the universe. Because the finite world, or the world, the physical world, what we see is finite. But the world inside your brain is always infinite. And you can do miracles inside your brain. You can do wonders inside your brain. Now, coming back, I would like to show you a small video. Can you hear this video?
Time lapse of a tower of pak choi in a polytunnel on a farm near Stratford-upon-Avon. This is hydroponic farming, and it allows 3 times as many plants to be grown in the same space. And you can grow more plants over time because these towers need little preparation between crops, unlike a field.
So we'd normally clear the crop, and then we've got to recultivate, maybe wait for it to dry out, get the tractors in there, get some fertilizer on, prepare a nice till, get it all planted. It could take a week or so, yes.
But you don't do any of that now?
We don't do any of that. We just pull out the crop and new one in, yeah.
This crop of pak choi hasn't even needed pesticides, a big saving in time and money. The whole idea was developed over 6 years in these greenhouses at the University of Birmingham. With hydroponics, the plants grow in a soil substitute like clay pebbles or here, rock wool. And you can control everything from the warmth of the roots to the nutrients in the water. And different nutrient recipes produce very different results.
You can adjust the colour, you can adjust the flavour, and obviously you can significantly impact upon the yields, such that, for example, we've grown pak choi on 2 different recipes and changed the yield by 2 kilos per square metre.
Can you really change the flavour of a lettuce just by altering the nutrients in the water?
This is number 1. Okay. That's number 2. There's a definite difference. This is sweeter.
It's not just pak choi and lettuce. On Manor Farm near Tamworth, they've been trying hydroponic strawberries. Traditionally, it's a thirsty crop, but this new system has drastically reduced the water the fruit need.
In the field.
These are the first real crops to be grown outside the university greenhouses, but the pak choi grower is so impressed with the results of this trial, they're going to be rolling it out on a much larger scale at their Evesham farm. These towers could be the future of farming. David.
So you watch that video. They're growing plants without soil. The human population is growing and it needs to be fed. So they're going to feed us with plants that are grown without soil. Now, why is soil so important? People will debate that, oh, I can add all the nutrients over there. But there is a link between the human gut microbiome and the human and the microbiome of the soil where you are living in. That's why there are sayings that these are the sons of the soil, or people say we are sons of the soil. What does that mean? There is a long meaning to this, or there is a deeper meaning to this. The soil is definitely part of us. Now there are studies showing that where you live, certain microbiology or certain microdata can be linked right from your mouth to your intestine. I will show you that paper which we have come across. Now you see over here, there is a lot of diversity of the microbiology growing in the soil. And this diversity definitely is responsible for the health of us. And as you know, a lot of people are suffering from autoimmune disease. So does the soil contribute to the microbiome? You see the habitat where in the olden days, the sewage or some amount of sewage used to mix with the soil. And when you would take off plants, you would have the roots over here. And these roots had soil on it. And you have a lot of these hairy substances. Now, what is this hairy substances? These are nothing but mycorrhiza fungi. Now, these mycorrhiza fungi are very important because these mycorrhiza fungi fix certain nutrition into the plant. They have they are responsible for carbon recycling. Now, I'll come across to what is carbon recycling. And this is a lot of thing to do with, am I eating organic food? Am I having organic supplements? Are the supplements I'm buying organic? Like some people come to me and tell me, doctor, which supplement is good? So some doctor told me I need to have organic supplement. Like I need to have magnesium gluconate, or I need to have magnesium citrate, or I need to have magnesium ascorbate, or this thing or that thing. Now, how are these things made? From where these chemicals or from where these elements come out? These elements come from the mountains and these come into the soil. Now, how do they become organic? Now, I'll show you a very nice picture on how it becomes organic. So I go here. Yes. I don't know. Okay, share the screen. Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
A plant
Yes.
without mycorrhiza on the roots. Now, mycorrhiza is this fungus, which is a friend of the plant. It could be aspergillosis, it could be so many different types of funguses. And they grow together. So they pick up the elemental magnesium, something like magnesium oxide or something, and convert it into magnesium gluconate. And that's absorbed by the plant. You see on the other side, how beautiful the roots are. They are just like this root with a lot of hairy things. Now, these roots won't happen in plants grown in hydroponics. Now, when you eat this, some of this is transferred to your gut. So some of these bacteria get ingested by us and go into the gut. And that helps our body produce vital substances or vital amines. Now, what are these vital amines? Nothing but we call them vitamins. Vitamin comes from the word vital amine. And the most important vital amine that produced in the gut is nothing but vitamin B12. Or methylcobalamin or cyanocobalamin or any other cobalamine. So it is this soil microbiology or this soil microbacteria that is very important for us to ingest. And ingestment of this right one causes us to keep good health. Now you will tell me, doctor, but what about cholera? Cholera also spreads from the soil. Absolutely. Sometimes the soil gets contaminated. Now this soil gets contaminated if the bacteria is not proper. Why it gets contaminated? Because of the use of a lot and overuse of antibiotics. Antibiotics given in cattle gets washed off in the soil. Antibiotics used by us humans and in the hospitals go into the sewage treatment plants. The sewage is not treated properly and the sewage goes into the soil, and that damages the normal or the wild type of bacteria present in the soil and encourages the growth of harmful or pathogenic bacteria in the soil. Now I will show you another very important picture. This picture will show us the cycling of human pesticides, of human excreta into the soil. Just share the screen.
You first share, then I will put it on the screen. You have to share the screen.
I am sharing the screen, sir. I am sharing the screen. Okay.
Okay, I will
So
put
in
it.
this picture, in the rural or the pre-industrial environment, what can we see? We see a human. He has feces that mixes with the soil, and that is called night soil. You must have heard of this term, night soil. And that increases the human microbiome. That's why in the olden days, we never heard of things called probiotics. Today, we have probiotics because there is no good production of night soil. So you need to ingest these bacteria back into your. Then we would grow these plants, or we would grow these herbs, and we would eat them. And that's the cycling of the carbon and the recycling of the human soil. Now, see this again in the industrial era. In the urban environments, there is no direct contact. The human microbiome gets excreted along with this word over here. A lot of hormones and antibiotics goes into sewage and drainage. This sewage and drainage is not treated properly. The antibiotics are not destroyed. How can you destroy antibiotics in sewage? You can use something where you call it oxidative therapy. Highly oxidative therapy is nothing but ozone. Ozone can be used to destroy hormones. Ozone can be used to destroy antibiotics. There is other therapies, what is called phenton therapy, which also is a very highly oxidative therapy, which can be used to destroy antibiotics in the soil. Now this mixes with the soil microbiome. Then you have plants grown in hydroponics. Then you have pesticides in plants, and this is what people ingest. You take this plant, post-harvest, you have a lot of processing. Over here, if you see, there's no processing. There is no pesticides. There is no hydroponics. There is no unnecessary treatment of the sewage and the bad drainage system. Now I cannot tell you, okay, this is bad, so you stop living in urban environments, you stop living in high-rise buildings. But this has to have some link back to this. Unless the sewage is treated properly, you have a proper treatment of sewage, making proper briquettes of the sewage after treatment of the solid waste, the liquid water of treatment, 100% removing all the antibiotics, removing all the hormones, only then the water should be going into the farms, which can be treated again and again with the same water, and these plants can be grown. Only then the entire system will be happening. If you see the urban environment, is actually damaging our soil, because our soil has also a lot of what you call it as concrete substances. Our soil has a lot of cement. Our soil has a lot of cadmium. Now, from where does this cadmium and lead come into our soil? Lead and cadmium are basically heavy metals. Now, what do you mean by heavy metals? Heavy metals are metals, or are, if you see the periodic table, they are much heavier than other metals. And these heavy metals, they sink down. Now, where do they sink down? They try to sink towards the center of the earth. Why do they sink towards the center of the earth? Just because of a simple system called gravity. Now, what is gravity? So, gravitational force is a force exerted by every atom on another atom. Now, the bigger the gravitation force is, or the heavier the object is, it attracts lighter objects. So when this beautiful earth or this beautiful rock, whatever you can call it, one of its kind, whatever you can call it, was formed, the heavier metals sunk to the middle. That's why the core of the earth is heavy. Now, this core of the earth contains a lot of other precious metals also, like gold, platinum, mercury, lead, etc., 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 etc. Now, if you have seen, have you seen what we call it as gold mining? Wherever gold is found, you find mercury. Mercury and gold are together. Wherever they go for gold mining, there is a lot of mercury toxicity that happens to the environment. Because mercury and gold are found together. And once you mine out this gold, you keep it, you refine it, you sell it, you make a lot of something what is called money, which is totally man-made. And what happens to the mercury? It goes into the environment and pollutes the soil. Now, why do I say mercury is polluting? Because mercury damages our body. Mercury damages our systems. Mercury damages our ecosystem. Mercury damages our plants. Now, to take off mercury from the body, it's very simple. Or to take off mercury from the environment is very simple. You need this. Cilantro. Coriander. This chelates the mercury. Or this catches hold of the mercury. Now it's very important where this cilantro is grown. Most of the cilantro is grown in soil that has already mercury. So many a times your cilantro or your coriander have a high concentration of mercury. Now this is very easy to grow. So I would always suggest get some soil in your house, have a small garden in the kitchen or even a garden in the balcony and just put these seeds. And in a week, you can grow your own cilantro and you eat it. Eat it like a medicine. Make a juice. It will take off all the mercury from your body. Now, I'm going to share another screen. Now, if you see, you have cadmium, you have copper, you have lead, and you have zinc. What is this? Now, if you see these plants or you see the root of these plants under the microscope, you put it under the microscope. These have small nodules. And inside these nodules, you have a lot of different types of bacteria, funguses, archaeas. All these things live. These are the houses for these fellows. And what do they do inside? They live in a nodules, and these nodules spread it out and suck up all the minerals and convert these minerals into nutrition. So they convert the inorganic magnesium into organic magnesium, the inorganic copper into organic copper, and transport it to the leaves. In the process, they form sugars, which is nothing but glucose. They form enzymes and they form antioxidants. Now, in this leaf is nothing but a solar cell. Now, what is inside a solar cell? Usually inside a solar cell, we find a conductor, something that changes the solar energy or the electrons or the photons that come from the sun into electrical energy. And this electrical energy converts it into chemical energy. You know, electrical energy, that's how our lights glow and all that. You're having solar cells on top. But this humble leaf has been doing it since billions of years. This solar energy, that the photons that come inside get converted into antioxidants. It gets converted into oils. It gets converted into essential oils. It gets converted into, sugar. It gets converted into fats. Now, what is fat in the plant? Every plant has fat, and that fat of a plant is nothing but the oil or the essential oil. So when you smell it, you get this nice smell. And what is the smell? This smell is nothing but the essential oil of the plant or the fat of the plant. And how do you collect this smell? So all of us like, to put diffusers in our house. They all like to put candles and, diffuser candles and the spa and this and that. So you steam distill this. You add steam to this and you collect the steam. And that steam is nothing but distillation. And that distillation is your essential oil. And this essential oil, you can put it in a candle or you can put a diffuser, and in the night you come home and you burn it. Oh, wow, such a nice thing and such a nice mood elevator. And now how does this mood elevator work? Because these molecules of these essential oil go through your nose and they go and affect your brain, and then your brain releases serotonin and all the whole story. Dr. Sudha will tell you about the, the neurotransmitters, and these neurotransmitters make you feel better. And once you feel better, you say, oh God, now I'm feeling so nice and I'm feeling so relaxed. And I go to the spa, I go to a restaurant, and I can remove 100 rupees or something and give and say, oh, I'm feeling good. And this is so, but this is already there in nature. Now, if you have plants growing around your house in soil, like you can have a plant like Ruta graviola. Now this Ruta is very good for joint pains. Or you have a plant like lemongrass. Now this lemongrass has these oils, and if you see at a certain time of the day, they release these oils, and that will ward away the mosquitoes. So why my screen share is stopped? Because I'm going back into the screen share. Now these microbia around the plant, if you see over here, there are so many names, all these Greek and Latin names, you don't need to memorize them. But certain microbiome of the plant concentrate zinc more, certain concentrate copper more, certain concentrate lead more, certain concentrate cadmium more. Now lead and cadmium are bad for our body. We don't want them, but we want copper and zinc. That's why today everybody's copper and zinc ratios are going haywire. They are eating organic food. Everyone is saying, doctor, I am eating organic food. My plants are grown in organic soil. But in that soil, have you tested what are the elements that are organic? Is it organic lead and copper going there? Is it organic lead and cadmium, or is it organic copper and zinc? Because the microbiome needs certain elements to function. And this lead and copper are very close on the periodic table, same as copper and zinc. So the ratios have to be maintained. Now, we smart humans can do the same thing. We can put these bacteria in a flask, feed them with organic minerals. And what they do, they convert this organic minerals into inorganic minerals. And you take it out and you make a nice supplement and you can sell it for 10 times the cost. And so you say, okay, I'm having organic supplements. Now what? So it's not expensive to live organic. Everyone says, oh, doctor, but organic, I have to go to this so-and-so store and I need lots and lots of money, because everything growing organic is money, and everything around this world, revolves around this this thing which is created by humans that we all agree on a paper value, and it is called money. Now, money actually doesn't exist. It is something that we make up. And if we just make more of it, okay, that's a different topic to discuss. So, coming back to our main topic, how can we all eat organic? It is important. See, I know today's world, we are all living in an urban environment, in flats and all. This is very difficult for us to live on a farm. And maybe our neighbors in the farm are using lots and lots of pesticides and glyphosates and all that. And if you see the video that I said, he said, first we clear the farm with some chemicals, and then we plant our seeds. So in clearing the farm, you kill all the crops indiscriminately, because today nobody has come out with a targeted organic weedicide.
Dr. Rebello, I would suggest you to conclude your statement in 5 minutes, and let us listen to Dr. Sudha also, because we have 3 speakers to speak, and then again we'll follow, because audience will have the opinion from the 3rd speaker also. So
okay.
Please.
Okay. So unless we come out with more organic substances for the crops, like targeted weedicides, and the proper, you don't actually need a weedicide, because unless your soil is totally gone or your soil is totally damaged, you need to take off everything, and then the other crops need to come, because crops need to grow one at the side of the other, and that helps in crop cycling, or that helps because one crop needs a certain substance and the other crop doesn't need a certain substance to grow, that come out from the soil. So same way, these microorganisms are very important in the soil to produce the right type of soil nutrient. And unless the right type of soil nutrient is there, it can grow. Now, how to restore it is very important. It's very simple. If you have land, let the leaves fall, add a lot of carbon, add a lot of charcoal, it will automatically restore. Or you get in the market certain types of mycorrhiza, but you need an expert advice to use which type of bacteria or which type of fungus to put into your soil, because there are also pathogenic ones. Unless you have a proper knowledge, only then I would say treat your soil. Otherwise, it's better to go for an expert advice from a soil scientist or someone to replenish the microbiome of your soil. I thank you so much for inviting me for talking about this topic, and I hope, I know it's not half an hour or 1 hour is not enough to give justice to understand the microbiology of the soil, because microbiology of soil is always related to microbiology of humans. It is also related to the food we eat and to other things. But thank you, and namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rebello. We keep on calling you because we need people like you, scientists like you, what the real scientists for the society, to come and deliver talk so that people like I'm going to tell it to my wife and my son also, that let us have some amount of soil in the house, and we can start growing at least something which can be used as salads and things like this. So with this, I thank you, and I think we can come back again. Meanwhile, I will request Dr. Sudha Chepyala, who has been doing actually very important work in USA and also in India, and she has been doing her research seriously. She has been practicing it also. Please, ma'am, start yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kailashji. So, thank you, Dr. Rebello, for the extraordinary visionary opening for this topic of discussion. I would like to start with the show, The Culture Matters. That's where everything is. That's where everything, that one line, if you understand, then you will understand gut microbiome. We are in India, and our culture is been way back to thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And if we can keep our culture intact and not get diverted or diluted by the other products or any other food, then we can be healthy as ages that we have been. Culturally, we are known to use food as part of food is medicine. We are known our kitchens as food is medicine. But today, in every house, we have medicines. We have a medicine box. We have a medicine for blood pressure. We have a medicine for diabetes. We have a medicine for everything. We have a medicine for a headache. What I want to get back is, if we start thinking that in our olden days, we had everything in our kitchen as food as medicine, that's where we got diverted, and that's where we got diluted. For a lot of industrial revolution has been done to forget our cultures and our food has been the food as medicine. We are so used to eating fermented food in every part of India that we know. If you go and sit, if your grandmothers or grandfathers or great-grandmothers are living, go spend some time with them to see what they ate. It is the combination of the foods that we have been forgotten. And today, in the morning, we eat a boxed food, which comes in a box as a cereal or anything. We never had that before, called boxed food. Now, the boxed food doesn't have nutritional value. It doesn't have life in it. Where our culture food, the habits of our culture, everything, there is life in it. There is energy in it. And there is nutrition in it. And that's where we could go and do our work with energy and with go on. But today, when we are eating the boxed food and going to the jobs that we are in, and we are sitting in our closed rooms without any sun exposure, the absorption of the boxed food or whatever we are eating, it doesn't produce energy. It does not be utilized by the cells to produce energy. And in 2 hours, we are hungry again. Let us just start thinking. Why are we feeling fatigue? Why am I not able to think so much even though I ate well? If I ate well, and then my cells should be regenerated with energy, should make energy with the nutrient value that I ate my food. But half of our population is fatigued, tired, not able to function well. My brain is not working. Physically, I'm hurt. I have pain in my body. Why? Because our cells are deprived of the nutrient value which is coming from the food. and the variety of the food that we always had. We always had summer, what should we eat? Winter, what should we eat? My grandmother used to tell me, you can't eat this food in winter. You have to, this is a summer food. But today we have a universal food and universal time. There is no, and universal season. If we go back to our culture and study and dedicate some time, why did they see it? Why did they tell the heat foods, cold foods to be eat when and where? We will be a healthy population. Because if in South India, if you are eating an idli, and North India, there is a totally different food, and everything is fermented, and everything is prepared very well with a process. The process is important as much as the soil nutrition for the plant. And when that plant is cooked or the vegetable is cooked, the tadka that we put in our Indian culture is equally important. The jeera, the adrak that we use has a tremendous medicinal properties in the food. But today, we are so used to eating boxed food because it's very simple. If I remove from a box and I give my kid to go to school, it's very easy and it's very simple because we are all working parents. But what are we doing in this process? Where are we going in this process? Are we giving any healthy food to our kids who has a growth curve, who has to use their brain very sharp? They have to grow their bone long and strong. And our daughters are having menstrual cycles at 9, as early as a 7-year-old, supposed to be getting at a 14-year-old. Why is this happening? Why is everybody having menstrual periods, abnormalities? Why are we overweight? Why are we not able to function as much as we used to function? Yes, we are working long hours. That is understood. But how productive are we in our work? How healthy and how productive that if I'm working 8 hours, how much productivity and I'm producing in my work and not being fatigued in front of a screen or physically when I'm working outside in the market. This all depends upon the cellular energy, the cell which produces energy to function. And my cell, how much nutrient value that it's getting for the mitochondria of the cell to produce energy. So our food has been studied and practiced very for ages. What we should eat at what time and at what season. And it's been passed on from one generation to another generation, so that it's part of our culture. So it's part of us. So it's part of our culture where I'm giving the food to my DNA, to my genes, and it's passing on from genetics to genetics. And why are we forgetting that? Our part of the culture is eating ghee. Eating ghee is part of our food. Now we are scared of eating our culture food as simple as ghee because I'm scared of my cholesterol going high. But then why did my grandfather get cholesterol when we eat so much of ghee, and why am I getting cholesterol when I'm eating ghee? Because of the processing, because of the processed food, because of the preparation of the processed milk that has been, because of the injections that have been injected to the cow and the buffalo, because of the production, because a population has to be high population to supply that chain. Why we had a culture of having that milk and small amount and making dahi, lassi. These are our culture foods. So really, our culture matters not in terms of practicing, but it's a matter of in terms of practicing in our food, in our daily food that we are eating 3 times a day, 4 times a day. If we can bring back our puran poli the way it is prepared, our dal bati the way it is prepared, my idli sambar that the way it is prepared, I will be taking care of my family in a culture way, and prevention is the disease. Our goal of the disease should be prevention. And if doctors don't practice preventive medicine, that I want to prevent the disease, then 10 years, 20 years down the line, we all will have cancer. Every family will have cancer. Because it is a genetically change in the material due to the lack of nutrient supply by the cells. The cell is mismanaged. The cell is keeping off the track. Now, why is it going off the track? Why is it not functioning normally? Because the cell is going off the track because it's not getting the proper nutrient, mineral elements from the food, and the energy in the food is also equally important. The food energy, the food also has energy which transfers the electrons and photons and the hydrogen molecule to the cell of the human cell. And that human cell produces the energy which produces the cell regeneration. The cell, when the cell has to die, it should form the normal pathway of cell death. But when it's not following the normal apoptosis, the medical term which is called apoptosis, it's not dying when it's supposed to die because it's not going into the normal pathway. Now, why it is missing the normal pathway? Because of toxins, as Dr. Leroy described. There are too many toxins in the water. There are too many toxins in the food. My food is sprayed with pesticides and chemicals so that it looks good. But what is there in that apple which is looking good? Low nutrition, low element. And when I eat that, it's calorie rich, nutritionally poor. When I have a food which has high amount of calories, but very low amount of nutrition, how will my body use that calories when there is no nutritional value? It is not calories that I want. It is the nutrition. It is the small amount of food that I am eating. I should have a high nutrient value. It is not how much I eat this much. But if I eat this much also, my body can function. But if I eat this much, but it is a very low in nutrient, what is the point? Body can't use the same caloric value to convert its own energy, which is in a different form. But if I give you a small amount of food with a high nutritional value, the body takes the nutrient part of sodium, potassium, magnesium, zinc, everything. And my mitochondria uses this to produce energy so that my body can use, so that it helps in my talk, in my thought process, in my walking, in my sleeping, everything. So today, the food has high caloric value, but very low nutritional value. The imbalance is that matters. Because I'm talking from South India, I'm just giving you an example of idli. I can't eat more than 2 idlis. That is a carbohydrate. I have to eat enough amount of balanced food with carbohydrate, with fat, which is ghee, with my gunpowder, which is protein, with sambar, which is a protein. Then it becomes a balanced diet. Everybody is scared of carbohydrates, but very fond of protein. We are an Indian culture, which is a culture. We are known for carbohydrate eating country, but with an equal portions of fat and equal portions of good amount of protein with a vegetarian food. It's fine. We have enough pulses and grains in our culture to have equal amount of protein value. We should not be scared of carbohydrates, but we should be scared of processed carbohydrates, boxed food, processed carbohydrates, processed food, so that it has a high caloric value, because it becomes a high caloric value because it should have a high shelf life. If I make the same laddu at home, I cannot keep that. Laddu will not be healthy for 3 days, 4 days. But if I add any processed, ingredient to it, it can have a high shelf life. But if I have a high shelf life food, what is the benefit to that my body will have if I have a high shelf life food? It is becoming a calorie, which my body cannot use it. My body can only use it as a nutrient value. The spinach, the palak that he had, it doesn't have a nutrition value, but it has enough caloric value. It is gas for my body. It is not spinach. It is not a nutrient where it can my body can get converted into a food, into a molecule, into a molecule, and my mitochondria cannot produce into energy. And this, we, as the topic of discussion is, we are made up of millions and millions of microbiome. If anybody doesn't know what the meaning of microbiome is, there are tiny microorganisms in our body which balances our metabolism. And when this microbiome, is imbalanced, then only there is dis-ease. Our body is not in ease. As much as the nutrient value, the microbiome needs to be balanced, because microbiome, the bacteria, produces enough gases inside our gut. Everybody say, I have a lot of gas production. That's abnormal gas production where it has not been utilized by the body. The microbiome is imbalanced. So when there is good bacteria and a bad bacteria. So when the good bacteria is less and a bad bacteria is more, then there is an imbalance will happen in the gut. When we are talking about a microbiome, we are talking about a good bacteria, which we are made up of. Fermentation food, that in our culture, every culture of our Indian history has a fermented food in our kitchen. Go back and remove that fermented foods and start eating in small portions, not in big portions. Then we can prevent diseases. We can cure diseases also. When we think food as medicine. So when we take, why is it food as medicine? We can't take too much medicine. We have to take food as small quantity, but highly valuable in nutrient and not highly valuable in caloric value. Today, everybody is behind about, how many calories I need to consume? Why are you concentrating on calorie consumption? Our body is programmed so beautifully to make its own energy the way it's want. The body will make different energy for the brain, different energy for the liver, different energy for the heart. It knows how to make its own energy. We need to give its proper nutrient value to it, so it's programmed so well that we can't replicate that cell any time or in the future also. We are what we eat, and food is medicine. And we are what we eat is because of the soil, because of the microbiome, because of the bacteria, because of the nutrition in it. The topic of discussion is culture matters, and we are made up of different and huge amount of cultures in our country. And why we get forgetting our culture, which is huge amount. If we can start thinking from today, okay, what is the culture food that I can have in summer, in winter, in rainy season, because it is the plant that is produces. Mango cannot be produced in December. Sitafal cannot be produced in summer, because there is a science behind it. The science of the air, the science of the breeze, the science of humidity, and the science of the plant, and the science of soil. But today we are genetically modifying them and making the change in the genes of the food and making it available throughout the year. Fine, if it is beneficial to the body, we will do it. But it is not. It is proving us wrong again and again that these food are not being digested by our body. These food is not useful to the body. In fact, these kind of foods are harmful for the gut, which kills our natural microbiome, and it is mismanaging our cells, and our cells are being off the track, which is causing disease and which is causing cancer. Genetic, yes, genetics are there, but today's world is something called epigenetics. Please research. My environment related to my genes is the main genetic transformation that I am doing. If I don't pay attention to my environment, to the food, to the soil, and to my water, then my food can change my genes. My food has the power to change my genetic information. And it can change, even though I don't have a cancer gene, it can make the cancer gene which I am passing to my children. And if we don't think today that today's food or today's environment and today's water that I'm putting, and I am changing my genetic structure because I changed my food and I changed this thing, then I'm passing my abnormal gene to the baby that I'm going to produce. If we can start thinking in these terms, that every day matters and my healthy food is my healthy genes. This is today's information, and the future is called epigenetics. Please research something called epigenetics. The world is talking about. The world is looking at different countries of culture foods. That's why today our foods are high value. Our tadka has high value. There is no other culture in this world who puts tadka in their food. We should be proud of it. These are mustard seeds and jeera seeds and haldi and ajwain, and everything is medicine. Everything is studied, published, proven. We don't need any proof from any other to prove it again, which is already proven. We just need to not to take away from our food. The only thing is, please don't take away our culture foods from our food plate. Today, when we are eating our food, how much our culture foods that we are eating, or how much which is not in culture food that we are eating, and how much we are changing, and how today, every time I'm changing my gene or whatever I'm putting in my mouth. Yes, there is too much information that we can't do anything about. We can't do anything about toxins. It takes a revolution. It takes another 100 years. But today, if I sit my grandmother, what is the culture food that she ate as a child? Teach me that, and that's what I'm going to feed my kids. And that's what I want to do, integrated with the future. Every Indian, if we can do that, we will be changing everybody, as from every home. We are country of people. And if everybody can think like that I will bring back my culture food and I will integrate on my dining table today, we made a change. And if we can teach the benefit of adrak and haldi and our jeera and all that, we will be doing a revolutionary movement to the whole world, which we should be proud of. Which we should be proud to say that, yes, I eat my culture food. Because we have enough proof. We don't need any other proof to tell. To prove it again, which is already proven years ago. The benefits of our diet, the benefits of our gut, of a microbiome, why, in what season and what this thing. We don't need to prove it to the world again. If we be healthy. Yes, somebody text into this thing, the tadka is medicine. The tadka is medicine. Why we cannot eat? Because I will tell you the science behind it. We are a carbohydrate eating population. When we are eating a carbohydrate eating population, that jeera, that mustard acts as an antioxidant to the carbohydrates. So when I talk to a carbohydrate piece in a country like America, it is different than what we are talking a carbohydrate country in India. Because we make our food differently in process of easily digestion. Talk to your grandmothers and see, digestion के लिए घर में ही बनाते थे, घर में ही कुछ ना कुछ दे देते. डाइजीन नहीं था, जेलुसिल नहीं था. If we can bring back our culture, medicines as food, as medicine also, we will be doing a huge benefit to our society, to our own families, and to our own culture, to our own, so that we can prevent disease. So I want to prevent disease from every home. It's not doctors' responsibility to prevent disease. Doctors are made for something which is abnormal, not to teach what is normal. My grandmother knows what is normal. My kitchen was normal. Today the doctors have to come into the field and we have to teach what is normal, because we forget our kitchens and we forget what was normal. So it's everybody's responsibility. Yes, we are busy, we doctors are busy taking what is abnormal. But if every home is following a preventive medicine, then you will not need doctors. Why should anybody need a doctor? This is what I want to do. This is culture matters. Food culture. Please bring back the food culture, and which is important for the gut microbiome, which is important for our DNA, which is important for our who's agriculturist who was making. Please start growing the agriculture the way we used to. We used to grow our food. We used to grow our food. We are growing our food right now with chemicals, because we have to make it available because of the population is high. But if we can go back to make our own food with our own seeds, with our own this thing, and not to make for an industrial revolution where I'll get this thing, then I can feed my own family with the same bendi and brinjal. Then that there's a nutrition is very high in the food, and everybody starts doing it. If I can supply my own family of 4 or 5 or 6, when I'm taking about the nutritional as my own responsibility as a disease prevention, then the doctors will take care of the abnormal. That's all I want to end. And if there is any particular question and answer in particular thing, that we have science, everything is evidence based today. We are not talking out of the blue. Everything is evidence based about what is important, about what science behind it, and how can we integrate it. And I want to end this note. Please think every meal as food, as medicine, as prevention of the medicine, and educate the kids about what food for what you are eating. There is so much information about carbohydrate, protein, and fat, and misinformation about fat. Understand the difference between good fat and bad fat is only one thing, is processed and unprocessed. Unprocessed food and processed food, it is the difference. There is nothing wrong in eating a carbohydrate diet. There is nothing wrong in eating a protein diet. Everything has to be balanced according to the work that you're doing and according to the activity that you're doing. Your food has to be eaten accordingly. We can't eat a universal food or a universal carbohydrate, universal protein, and a universal this thing. We are made because my genes are different and everybody's genes are different. This is what I want to end with as the notes. And yes, our culture matters in terms of food, in terms of integration of food in terms of our culture. Then we can make a huge difference to the health. Then health will be in everybody's home. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sudha. Thank you, Dr. Leroy, and thank you, Dr. Paula. It was a wonderful presentation. Your all three presentations do not deserve question. They deserve appreciation. They deserve acceptance. They deserve that there should be a little bit of, soil in everybody's house where they can grow some seeds and they can prepare at least some in the urban centers, mega city centers. I'm telling, we have Dr. Nagaraja Sharma with us, and he says, yes, both of you have emphasized our culture has said Anna Brahma. Every grain is Brahma, is the ultimate God. Our food saves us like this. And I will tell you, as a student of anthropology, when I go to the villages, I discovered one beautiful song, and that song is called Barahmasa, the 12 month, and they describe don'ts factors, do's and don'ts, and they say if you don't take this thing in this month, Savanak Sag ne Bhadvak Dahi, do not eat leafy vegetables in the month of Savan, and do not take curd in the month of Bhadav, and there is everything like that. And say kahe dhanvantari aiso bache Vaid Raj kahe puriya rache, says the Dharvantari, the Lord of medicine, tells you if you protect yourself, prevent yourself from taking these elements in all 12 months, one element in each month, there is no need to call a doctor and get a prescribed medicine for yours. That is the power of food. When we talk about culture, we say that the food is the culture. We have Padma Vibhushana, Dr. Kapila Vatsya, and I was working under her. She used to say culture is agriculture. And he said, if you are talking about agriculture, you have to talk about the food item that is being produced, that is being cooked, that is being processed, and the way it is being produced, the time scale. She always used to say that eat the fruits, seasonal fruits. If don't eat mango in the month of December, because if you are eating mango in the month of December, they are certainly going to cause harm to you. So that was the power of your presentation. Everybody liked it. Everybody liked it. And I am really thankful to Dr. Paula for bringing you together. It was a very, very, very great presentation. And I would rather request you to come again and again with with a title, subtitle, and subtitle of the title, so that it can create a common awareness. The best social worker in the world are doctors, are the researchers, because their research, their finding should go to the benefit of the society. So if you are speaking something, you are speaking something for the betterment of the society, and that exactly you have done. If this message is being carefully followed by the 10% viewers of this program, you have made the things done properly. So thank you so very much, Dr. Paula. I would again tell you to summarize the thing, because you are the mediator, you are the real creator of today's talk. You invited them. I didn't know them before, but now we are friends, and we can invite them, we can disturb them again and again. But I wanted to know about, because you have, in the very beginning, you had created a scope, you have created an environment of listening to them, of giving them a space to speak the way they want to speak without any fear. And we have all enjoyed listening to them. So you are the generator this way. Please speak.
Well, I'm so privileged to be Leroy. I'm to them. There's very few doctors I trust with my body, and they're two of them, two of the few. Really, and it's no wonder Leroy and Sudha have the top-rated longevity clinic in India. Top-rated, because they understand so much more that it would be good to have another program. I really agree with you, Kailash, because there's so much I know Sudha can say. I've listened to some of her amazing videos where she goes really into much more detail on the microbiome. She took the time today because of the title of your program and really expanded on and really emphasized the really dire importance of sticking with your native diet. Like, for example, I'm Celtic, right? And so I need to have a Celtic diet. I've been living in the Himalayas, but I'm Celtic. And a friend of mine who has Celtic background and is a nutritional expert, he says, "Oh, Paula, well, you better take a lot of seaweed with you. That will help you deal with the cold." And sure enough, that was true, because my DNA is different, a little different than Indian DNA. So there's certain foods that I need. I think it's true, Sudha, that you refer to as like paleo diet as your ancestral diet, blah, blah. And so you've really covered that so well today. And Leroy, I really loved how you went into the real details of the soil. So am I correct in what you were saying, is that maybe hydroponics is not so good because it's leaving out certain fungi as you would get when things are grown in soil? Correct, Leroy?
Yes. See, every few millennia, how humans and other animals or species evolve, the microbiology of this world also evolves. So we also have some prehistoric microbiology seen in fossils. Of course, most of the prehistoric microbiology are being used by us today in our cars as fossil fuels. But as this world evolves, there is a lot of microbiology evolving. And this microbiology is very important for the type of plants that are grown and the type of nutrients that these plants uptake. Because these plants need to uptake the right amount of nutrients and produce the right amount of biochemicals, which indirectly control the way we behave, the way we lead our lives, and the way we remain healthy on this planet. So there is definitely a change in this planet's microbiome, which is going on as of today, because the frequencies put out in this planet are changing. Even the frequency of the earth, or the mother frequency of the earth, is changing as it was many years ago, as Dr. Paula will tell you more in that about the frequency and how the frequency changes and all these things.
And
But,
so I just
right, definitely hydroponics is a good way to feed the masses, but it definitely lacks in the microbiology of the soil, because there is no soil. And if there is no soil, the right amount of nutrients going into the plants are less. I would try to describe hydroponics as plants on drips. Very simple. Plants on drips in the hospital.
more, okay. Thank you, Leroy. That's really, really helpful. And yeah, it's something to contemplate. And we can do, even in an urban setting, we can do little plants, or, like right here where I'm staying with my friends here in Hyderabad, they have nice planters on their balcony with actual soil. And even my friends I stay with in Delhi, have all kinds of plants growing in the too. Yeah, so that's really helpful. And we didn't talk so much today about this 6th extinction event, but I just want to end with that we are 50% of the way through. So the things that Sudha and Leroy have discussed with us are really crucial, that as we come out of this lockdown, that we really focus on getting rid of all of this agricultural chemical stuff and the medical chemicals. These are the people that have been in control of us and have gained so much more control just during the lockdown itself. These billionaires have gained like doubled to tripled and so on, their billions, and now want to really push heavy duty GMO food on all of us in every single country, getting rid of all of the ancestral diets that each of us really need to keep in every area of this planet. And so I hope some of you have really taken this in and really read carefully about this great reset they're talking about. It's not a healthy one at all. It's doing the opposite of what our two friends have discussed today. It's the absolute opposite. It's more GMO food, which is killing us literally, making us sick and so on. I don't want to go on that. But the positive thing we can do is to bring back the soil, and it can be done. And this is not something Sudha talks so much about today, but she is quite an expert in that as well. So it might even be good to have program B where they can go more into the details of that as well. But anyway, I don't want to talk too long. I want to thank both of you so much, Sudha and Leroy. I'm so grateful to them. Come out of really hypoxia, getting my brain back in shape. I've been living high in the Himalayas so long that, and I'm kind of, my old ancestors come like a place like India from sea level, so it's hard for my body the last 10 years to be with such less amount of oxygen, and they know how to deal with it. They are such experts. They know how to give you all the tests you need, what in your body, what vitamins are missing, so that they can help back in balance. Just like all the great traditions of medicine, whether it's Chinese or Ayurvedic or Siddha or whatever, it's all about balance. These two are experts on bringing back balance in the soil and the balance in your body. And enough. They have this clinic here in Hyderabad. It's called Eternus, the clinic. Okay, so for those of you who want expert help detoxing, because this is the key thing, in the book that and Leroy and I will be doing another show at some point dealing with ozone, which is a panacea for healing virtually anything. And he and Sudha are both experts in this as well. So anyway, I'm sure we'll be doing more shows, and I will also, of course, be doing some more along the spiritual leanings of the great traditions. I've had the great privilege study Taoism in my 20s, then be with HWL Poonjaji, one of the three main students of Ramana Maharshi in my 30s. And then I wasn't looking for another guru at all, but then I had a great Dzogchen master teacher that came into my life. So I will be sharing some of the great wisdom that I picked up from them and how that can affect us and help us, you know, get into a non-dual awareness of what is, so that we can really negotiate these very, very difficult times with greater ease. But we need the backup of a good diet too, which is why I felt so called to bring these two dear friends of mine on. And I'm sure we will have them on again. Thank you so much, Sudha. So much. Thank you so much, Leroy. Thank you so much, Kailash, for providing this venue for us to put out this good message about the wisdom of India and its food, and how it needs to really be claimed and brought in back. Get rid of all the processed stuff. It's killing us, literally, all over the world. It's time. We did our experiment. It's done. And time to get rid of the chemicals and go back to nature. That's the time. It's showing. You know, the whales came back during this lockdown. So many things came back. It's just amazing. However, what we have to be careful, and one we're going to have a program about this, is there are very deleterious frequencies that are killing millions of birds, millions of animals, and humans. And it's giving us the same symptoms as COVID. Okay, the 5G. We're going to talk about that in another program. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kailash. Really, it's so wonderful to be with all of you. Thank you, all of you who are watching. Thank you so much. Kailash, I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Dr. Paula, for such a wonderful experience, providing us, you know, like all you three are wonderful speakers. You are seasoned professionals. You have devoted your time, your energy, your scholarship for deriving something from the nature, and the call that you all have given, going back to the nature, learning from the culture, you know, their culture and nature. You know, there is a wonderful relation between nature and culture, because culture is essentially derived from the nature. Culture is adapted and adopted according to the movement and nature, you know, style of the nature. Nature nurtures culture. That we have learned from you. Thank you, Dr. Sudha. Want to have 5 points from you as suggestive point, and then 5 points from you, and 5, like pinpointedly 5 points that you want to suggest from you, and again 5 points from Dr. Rebello. So start with Sudha, Dr. Sudha.
So the 5 points that you want me to tell is, think how many minerals are there in the water. So, I mean, today we are all drinking mineral water, but there are not much minerals in the water. And so that's what we want to bring back, saying that today, like here, a simple example that I want to give is coconut water is equal to a mineral water because it has enough electrolytes in it. So when we say mineral water, it is the electrolytes that matters. It is not how many liters of water we are drinking, but it is about how many liters, 1 to 2 liters also are more than enough, as long as they have enough minerals in it. So in the olden days, we used to have that wells and, well and mud, say, mudka pots, and where we used to take our water. So that is also nothing but the minerals comes from the mud, and then we stored in pots in the pots, and then that produces minerals, as well as it produces an amount of coolness, and then that was enough for us. So water being healthy also is very important. And the other thing is everything what you're putting in your food, make sure that it is okay, how much nutrition is there in the food, and how much I need it for that day, and how much I'm going to take it as intake. Another thing is sleep. Everybody will say sleep. Okay, I have to sleep 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day, 8 hours a day. It is not about how many hours you are sleeping. It's about how well you're sleeping, how well you're going into the deep sleep. So if you don't go into a very peaceful, deep sleep, then doesn't matter if you sleep 10 hours or 11 hours or 12 hours, your energy will still be low. So there is a lot of information that, yeah, I slept 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. But if you're not spending in a calm and a sleep and the 3 hours where our cell regenerates, where it's like a battery, you're charging your battery of your cell. How important is your cell battery in your cell? So sleep is like battery. So try to use less gadgets in the night. Try to use sleep in bedrooms which there is no Wi-Fi, so that our cells are not interfered with the other electrons, electrical gadgets in the night. At least charge your phones outside the bedroom, or if you're charging the phones in the bedroom, then switch off the Wi-Fi, switch off the cellular network, switch off the Wi-Fi, and so that somebody who needs you in emergency, they'll definitely call you. They'll not WhatsApp you, or they'll not ping you in Facebook or anything like that. If somebody needs you, they'll definitely call you. So that the Wi-Fi is not being there in the night, switch off the Wi-Fi and sleep. Switch off the Wi-Fi and sleep. Or if you have a common charging station for the whole house, keep the phones charged outside, so that inside your room at least your natural and our cells are not being managed by the electronic gadgets, because they also plays a huge role in our cell to cell transfer of energy. And that gadgets of too much also can interfere with our sleep, interfere with us. Try to not to put TVs inside the bedroom, because that interferes with our sleep cycle. That interferes with our melatonin pathway. That interferes with production of normal hormone in the night, which is responsible for the sleep. So sleep is as equally as important as food. If you're not sleeping well, the cell are not reprogrammed well for the next day. If the cell has to clear its toxin, if the cell has to wash away its bad toxins, the cells has to cleanse itself. It's as if the cells has to bathe. Its cleansing needs to be done. Then the environment that where we are sleeping has to be healthy. The environment in terms of air, the environment in terms of circulation, the environment in terms of electron transfer, it has to be healthy. So we are recommending many people, and when a patient comes for consultations and everything, switch off the Wi-Fi's. Why do they say switch off your airplane mode when you're in a plane? Because it interferes with their transmission. So it's the same way. So put your cell phones outside, sleep well. If you sleep the 2-3 hours in a deep sleep with a normal, deep, good sleep, then your energies work better. Your energies work better. So think about all this, about wow culture, from what bartan that I am cooking my utensils, and what pot, that clay pot of water that we are putting this thing. And let us use less plastic, because we have enough information in the plastic about the internet, but make it as a habit. Don't store your water in plastic. Store water in your steel things, because we are a country of steel. We have comfortably, we can afford, all the middle class people also can afford steel bartan, steel this thing. We don't have to use plastic. Plastic for the people who are using microwave and who are using ovens for cooking and microwave for cooking. We are still using our gas cylinders for our cooking. We are still using everything into this thing. We are not using microwave food as other countries. And if you are using microwave, try to use less microwave for the food in terms of heat. Yes, I know as mothers, I am the mother. It's easy for my kids to eat my milk and give, but let us not use that because it changes the formula of the food. When artificially producing heat by an artificial heat, it changes the formula of the food. When I'm changing the formula of the food, even though when I'm cooking, when I'm reheating it in a wrong environment, then the food formula changes. Then the food is not benefited to my body. So this is what I want to say is get back to your culture of storing the water in clay pots, cooking, try to use as natural methods of way of cooking of pots. Don't cook in an aluminium pots. Aluminium cooking was there for some time, but it was not our part of culture from before. So try to use as less chemical based in our utensils, chemical based in our water storage, and sleep in terms of gadgets. These are my 3 points for you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sudha. We have two award-winning porters with us. Mr. Om Prakash Galap Prajapati from Ramgarh, Alwar, Rajasthan. He says keeping water in clay pot, they call it matka. Cook your food in clay utensils to get all nutrition of food. He's supporting it. This is the power of culture. If we say culture matters, yes, it matters because we have the culture specialists also with us. And second, we have again the specialist of the terracotta
I want
jewelry
to
and
make
all those.
one point, sir. I want to make one point. Let us encourage the farmers and let us encourage the people who are making the clay pots so that they
Yes,
can
yes.
keep their culture that way so that we can use and they also can survive. When culture matters, bring back our culture methods of clay pots and utensils in every way. If we start using them, they will not do adulteration in making the clay pot. वो मट्टी के लिए मट्टी से ही बनाते हैं. So that people are there who are using and people are who are there you're using. If it breaks, let it break. I can afford another clay pot. But we have to encourage these people to keep their preparation of the clay pot as healthy and not that making the clay pot is chemically glazed. But if people like them, of people who are, like handloom of India, if I don't make a cotton saree and if I don't continue the handloom and making them, I am there to continue the culture. If I encourage them to continue to keep their culture authentic and not adulterated, yes, people like us, we will use them. We will spread the word. We will use them so that they survive and we survive. And they will keep their non-adulteration and we are not buying everything from outside. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, well, they are doing it also, and we have been,
Yes.
from folk brain also. This was if you try to understand the meaning behind these two nomenclatures, folk brain and
Yes,
culture
sir.
matters. They symbolize like this, and we have been trying, and we will use you also as one of our ambassadors. We will tell you to talk about it also someday. We'll bring you. Dr. Rebello, 5 quick pointers, dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, dot 4, dot 5 from your side.
Well, Dr. Sudha has already done all the work for me. I would just like to say it in a very simple way. Think global, eat local. Think and be global, but use local. This has a very deep meaning. If you are local, you are giving or you give a chance to our local artisans, to our local farmers by using natural pesticides, by using natural medicines, by using food as medicine. I saw somewhere in one shop, I do not want to name the brand, they make sandwiches and they say We bake our own bread. That is a multinational sandwich shop. Most of you must have got it. We bake our own bread. But our Abdul Kaka at the side has a small bakery for 85 years. And he's also breaking his own bread. Why should we go to these multinational high-end fellows and use the same thing what we have been doing since thousands of years? Our grandmother, great grandmother also are breaking our own bread since millions of since thousands of years. Now, eating local with the right amount of probiotics. So I would say every house should have some pots with soil in. Do not ever throw that soil away, because earth can regenerate itself. All the plants that are dead, or once the plant dies, put it back inside. It will automatically regenerate. This is what we have to teach our farmers. Instead of buying expensive more and more fertilizers and more crop enhancing chemicals, if they try to regenerate the soils naturally, we can definitely grow and have better food. Now we all talk about farmers and farmer suicide and this and that, and it'll lead into politics and all these things. But each of us is a farmer. Each and every one of us can be a farmer. All we don't need acres and acres of land. We need a small pot to keep in our house. And even if you grow one plant that you can consume, or that is good for you, it is good for your mind, good for your body, good for your soul. Now, how is it if you eat something that you can eat? Obviously, it is good for your body. Now, plants, take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. Everyone knows that. Nothing to teach about it. But plants also give out n number of other good substances in the forms of essential oils and chemicals. Now, every plant that you can smell gives out essential oil. So having an aromatic plant in your house, it could be a simple plant like coriander. It could be a simple plant like even a ginger plant. You cut the ginger and put it in, get a ginger. I'm not saying waste thousands and thousands of rupees to go to some high-end nursery and bring some, very nice, sweet-smelling flowers. Go to the grocery shop. Whatever seeds you have, you can get. Plant that. Make those microgreens grow in your house. Eat those microgreens. That is good for you. They release certain kinds of aromas, and that is nothing but your aromatherapy. That is good for you. Have different colors of foods in your diet. When you go to the shop, don't go and say, oh, I'm going to this or that and all that. Pick up the maximum fruits and vegetables that have maximum different colors. These colors will help you good for for the diet. Now, since most of our audience are Indian, we have a culture and a tradition of pickles. We make pickles and give it to our neighbors. That helps us in 3 or 4 different ways. One, it helps our relation with our neighbors. Today, many people living in apartments don't even know who their neighbors are. Secondly, the microbiome of the gut keeps changing. So the microbiome of this family, while making pickles, goes to that other family, and that family pickles comes to you. So you have a healthy society, and that what is indirectly or directly helps to build something called herd immunity. And now everyone's talking about herd immunity with the COVID crisis. But how do you build herd immunity? By correcting your microbiome. So go back to the traditions. Make pickles, give them to your friends, have their pickles, share your food. All these things were told in all religious books. Share food, share with your neighbors, share with your friends. Why these things were told? So that the society lives healthy and lives happily. You don't need any medical experts to give you this advice, but these are the common sense and the basic things. You need not buy those expensive, pickles and all in the shop or buy the expensive curds in the shop. We can always make it in our home. Share it with our friends. Share it with our neighbors. That will help us from not falling sick. Just simple act of kindness and sharing will is able to cure so many conditions like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease and all these things. I can tell you scientifically how the microbiome in the gut changes, and it is good for conditions like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. And what you have to do, nothing. You don't have to understand all this medical jargon. All we have to understand is sharing. And as we say, sharing is caring. So care for your friends, your families, your neighbors. Eat local and think global. That is the only thing that is going to change. Thank you all. Namaste and Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, today was the day for us. Thank you, all three, Dr. Paula, Dr. Leroy Rebello, and Dr. Sudha. And thank you, everybody, every listener, everybody who have watched our live show. Thank you so very much. God bless you all. And maybe I can call you again and again with the topic of your interest, with the topic of our interest, and with the title of the interest of the common men and women of India and the world. With this note, I thank you, everybody, and we are closing the show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.